Hey everyone, it's Sarah Jean at the Ontario Hockey League. Hope everyone's doing well at home. Hope everyone's staying safe, staying healthy. And I want to welcome you to our Central Division meetup. This is the second time we've done something like this. We've got 5 players here, 5 forwards in fact, from each team in the Central Division on a call today for a fun, lighthearted conversation, some hockey talk, some off-ice stuff. We've got Tyson Foerster from the Barrie Colts, Keean Washkurak of the Mississauga Steelheads, Cameron Butler from the Niagara IceDogs, Brandon Coe representing the North Bay Battalion, and lastly, Sudbury Wolves, Blake Murray. So firstly, I want to thank all of you for hopping on today's call. And I think just to start off, we'll do what we did in our last divisional meetup. We'll go around and we'll chat about how everyone's been doing at home, how everyone's been keeping busy. So if everyone can just mention something that they're watching on Netflix right now, something they're doing to keep in hockey shape, and another stay-at-home activity that has kept you busy at home. We'll start with you, Blake.
I just finished Money Heist. I was on that for a while. It was 4 seasons, and I thought it was a really good show. And then I've been working out in my gym. I got some stuff for my twist and whippy, and I just brought it into my garage. So I've been working out every day there. And then we opened up my pool not too long ago, so I've been swimming a lot. And a couple of my close friends that have been just hanging out at home, we got together for a pool the other day, so that was nice.
Thanks. Keean?
I was watching Animal Kingdom for a while, and then I finished that this season 4. And then now I'm on to Sons of Anarchy, which is a pretty good show I like. And then I actually have a gym in my garage that I've been using. You know, we got the weights in there, and I've been working out every day there. And then I've just been fishing a lot, you know, just some little rivers around here and with a couple of my buddies, but that's it.
So, Cam?
I've been watching Animal Kingdom too. Just started the 4th season. I also go to home gym here. I've been working out every day, and recently my dad and I have been building a deck.
Awesome. Brandon?
Yeah, I watched Outer Banks a bit. Now I'm on Animal Kingdom as well, and then I've been working on my basement with the weights I got for my trainer, and then we've been doing some track workouts as well. And then for fun, I've been just rollerblading with a couple buddies.
Cool. And Tyson?
Well, I've actually just finished the Michael Jordan documentary. It was awesome, I thought, but I just actually started with my trainer a couple weeks ago, so I've been working out with him and skating a bit too. The rinks have started opening up a bit, so just doing as much as I can to stay busy, and I've actually been up to my cottage a couple times too for fun.
Awesome. Well, Tyson, to get things rolling here, we spoke the other day on one of our OHL Quick Hits episodes. I asked you about your favorite memories of the season. No surprise that the Top Prospects game came up. Obviously a huge game for you back in January. 2 goals, 3 points, MVP honors at the end. What did that game do for your confidence?
Yeah, I think obviously it was a huge game for my confidence. I think just sharing that with all the guys like Cozy, it was really good. I think coming back for the regular season, I think I was so much more confidence, and it was a lot easier going to the games too. I wasn't nervous. It was all fun, really.
Awesome. You had a lot of people there. I think we all remember that. And, you know, throughout the season in Barrie, you get the opportunity to play so close to home. I know that's something that you kind of get chirped about, but how special is it to be able to play in front of so many people you know on a nightly basis?
Yeah, I think some of the boys chirp me a bit for having tickets so many times, like so many tickets every day. But I think it's good. I think I love always having my family there supporting me, and friends and family, really. So I think it's really good.
Well, it's a big year for OHL talent gearing up for the NHL draft. Brandon, you were Tyson's teammate on Team White. What was it like sharing that experience together?
Yeah, it was good. We played Barrie quite a bit during the season, so it was nice to get on his team for once, and we ended up rooming together for one night. So that was pretty fun, and it was just a great experience overall.
Everyone got along when you guys were rooming?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was fun.
we followed it.
Night. We had a few of the boys in our room together, so it was nice just to catch up with everyone, and yeah, it was great sharing the ice together for once.
Awesome. All right. So, Brandon, what are some of the ways you felt you've been able to elevate your game this season?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to having more confidence. I think coming into this year, I just believed in myself a bit more that I could contribute more to my team and get more success that way. So I think just having more confidence helped me out.
Awesome. Now, Keean, you were certainly a dependable force down the middle, and you were voted the Eastern Conference's hardest working player for the second straight year in the OHL coaches poll. What do you have to say about that?
It's a great honor for me, because I've been considered, a hardworking forward, and my dad's really driven that into me since a young age, and I thank him for that. But it's just coming to play every night, playing your style of game, and just getting recognized by all the coaches in the Eastern Conference like that is a good accomplishment.
Yeah, you've mentioned your father, Joel, as the biggest influence on your hockey career. What are some of the biggest lessons you've taken away from his time in the OHL and just all his time at the rink?
He really drives hard work into me, and then, you can't take anything for granted in the sport of hockey. Everything's earned. I've taken a lot from him, and, even kind of his playing style, old school playing style back in the day. And I can't thank him enough for what he's done and what he's driven into me as a young kid.
All right, Tyson, at the beginning of the season, you set a goal to score 20 goals and earn 30 assists, and double up on last year's rookie output. And you blew way past that with an 80-point season. What are you most proud of?
I think just coming out of nowhere, really. I don't think anyone expected me to do what I did. So I think just kind of put myself out there a bit for the scouts and for everyone, really. So I think that's what I'm most proud of, really.
And this question's for Blake. You scored your second career hat trick against Barrie this season as part of a 4-point effort in that game. Safe to say that that's one of your standout moments from the season?
Yeah, I think that was a big game too, because I think that's when we swept the season series against Barrie too. So I think that was probably one of the best memories of the season since there was no playoffs or anything.
Yeah, we knew this was going to happen. That's why we let you guys win.
I was going to say, Tyson, you remember that one, but I'm sure you remember it pretty well.
Yeah.
And Keean, you had a huge 6-point night against Sudbury back in early February. So I'm going to guess that game stands out among your top memories this season.
Yeah, that was definitely, one of the biggest games that I think I've ever had against Sudbury. We play them a lot, and I don't think we really like playing each other, but yeah, it was a good night for me. I was on top of things, and some of the guys on Sudbury, like Murray, were talking to me. He's like, "How are you doing this?" But it just happened. I'm not really sure how, but it happened.
It was a tough Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Now, Blake, you definitely took a leap this season, 72 points, up from 50 points. What was the best part about being a member of the Sudbury Wolves this year?
I just thought the group we had, we had one of the tightest groups this year and last year. I just thought the last 2 seasons have been great in Sudbury, and we've had a lot of fun. And I'm just looking forward to next year. I think we have a lot of young guys that are going to grow as players, and I think we could be another contender for the division.
Well, Sudbury owned the top of the division. Finished for the first time since 2001 at the top there, but it did get pretty close at times. So, Keean, what was the message heading into those games against the Wolves? The Wolves had a lot of heavy veteran presence on the squad, and they were quite dominant this year.
Yeah, the message really was, just go out there and try and take over the game, really, because Sudbury, if they got off to a good lead, they the majority of the time they'd take over the game. But they had a really good team, a lot of goal scorers, a lot of talent, and we we thought that if we outworked them, in the first period and then got over them the second and third, that we'd have a good game against them. And sometimes we did, and then sometimes we didn't, and they rolled over, and we took over the game. And then vice versa there.
Does it sound about right, Blake?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, this question's for Cameron. You were in Peterborough for a season and a half. What's been the biggest difference or the biggest adjustment coming into the Central Division?
I think just the biggest adjustment was a new team, new coaching staff. It was really good transition. Everyone on the team was super welcoming, so the transition that way was easy. Obviously, we had a tough second half, so going from the top team to one of the lower teams in the conference was a bit challenging.
It was a tougher year for Niagara for a couple of reasons. The team made a few deadline deals, and as a result, you are an IceDog now, and wasn't the finish that you wanted or that anyone wanted. But what did you learn about this group of guys during that hard-fought second half of the season?
When I was getting to know them, it's a really great group of guys. Everyone works really hard, and I just know that everyone's willing to do what it takes to be a top team in this division, and that's what we're working for in the next couple of years.
Now, the fight for that final playoff spot got pretty tight towards the end of the season. Obviously, the season ended earlier than we all thought. But Brandon, how proud of the team are you for how they started to rally towards the end there? And do you think the Battalion would have made the playoffs if the season had not ended so soon?
Yeah, I think we had a great push to the last part of the season. I think we were battling with Kingston there for the last playoff spot, and I think we were a couple points out. I think we had 5 games left in the season. I think if we got a few wins, I think it would have been really close. And I'm just proud of the guys with the last push that we made there. After we got a little bit of a coaching change, we got a little bit more life in our systems, and it might have worked out for us.
Cameron, what stands out the most about facing off against the Battalion this season?
We only played them a few times when I got traded to Niagara, and I don't think we won any of those games. But they're always tight games because we were battling with them too for the last spot, and they're coming up on us towards the end of the season. So they're always hard-fought games, and they're fun to play in.
Well, it was definitely a year of change and a year of rebuild in North Bay this season. Oulahan behind the bench, replacing Stan. First overall pick, Ty Nelson coming in hot. Brandon, what can we expect from the Battalion next season?
Yeah, I think we're just going to be a young team again. And with Ty coming in, he looks like a good first overall pick. And hopefully it all works out for us next season. And definitely, hopefully make the playoffs again. So that's the big goal moving forward.
Tyson, Barrie is one of the youngest teams in the league this past season. What do you see for the future of the team?
I think we're really young, so we're really all tight. Like, we're all bonded really well last season at the trade deadline. So I think next year we were starting to heat up at the end of last year. So I think going into next year, if we can do the same thing, then I think we can be right at the top of the division where Sudbury was this year.
What do you think, Blake?
Going to be some good rivalries next year.
All right, Cameron, how are you enjoying living in the Niagara area?
I've liked it so far. It's a big change from Peterborough, from a small town to a bigger area. But everything's been great so far. I have really great billets there, and they made it really easy.
That's good. And who are some of the players that you're looking forward to playing with most next season?
We're a really young team too. So like Ty said, we're really tight together as well. And some guys, probably Jake Uberti, he's one of the guys I came closer with on the team, and we have some good chemistry together. So hopefully we get to play together next year.
We've been talking a lot about younger teams, but Sudbury had a strong veteran presence this season. So Blake, as one of the older guys on the team next year, how would you describe yourself as a leader?
I'm more of a lead by example type of player. like try and like show the younger guys like how I do like on and off the ice, like how I play and what I do to prepare for games and like how we work in practices. Because trust me, we work pretty hard in practices, and yeah, and I just try and do it that way. Like I'm not that type of like a loud like guy in the room. I'm more like let the older guys do that this year, but I think next year I might have to step in and do that. So I can do that as well. So yeah.
And Keean, with 12 players born in 02 or 03 on the Steelheads roster, what kind of leader are you aspiring to be?
I say that, during my second year in the league, we got rid of some guys and, I kind of had to step up in that way to be more of a vocal guy. I never really was, but I was more of a lead by example like Blake. But, this past year, I've started to talk a lot more in the room and, when we get down, I'm trying to pick guys up. I want them to do the best for the team. But yeah, I just see myself as continuing to be a lead by example guy and, try and be more vocal.
Cameron, what stood out the most this past season about facing off against Keean and the Steelheads?
Yeah, like he said, they're a really young team, so they had a lot of fire, a lot of skill. They're pretty fun to watch. I think he played with James Hardy and forget who else, but they had a pretty good line that always did something on the ice, so it was pretty cool to watch that.
Blake, I'm going to pose you the same question. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, for sure. Whenever we played Mississauga, I always thought of the three main 01s were Harley, Washer, and Schwitt, and then there's Hardy as well, Kruger. Yeah, I agree.
And Brandon, in agreement here?
Yeah, they're a good young team, and whenever we face them, I always have a hard time going up against Harley. So definitely don't look forward to those games too much.
All right, Tyson, I know you had mentioned Quinton Byfield as the toughest opponent to play against in the league. We've all had the pleasure of watching him play in more than one capacity, but maybe you can elaborate on what makes him such a threat.
I can't. He's just going to chirp me. But if I have to, I think he's huge. I think he's like 6'4" or whatever he is. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He's really a whole package. So a team's going to be lucky to draft him. So he's just unbelievable.
Does that sound about right, Cameron?
Yeah, that's how he is.
Well, Blake, maybe you can speak to what it's like having Quinton as a teammate on your side.
Yeah, I was actually really close with Quinton, or we call him Q. But yeah, he's a really great kid. He's got lots of potential. He's going to be a top 2-3 overall pick in the NHL, I find. And he's just I don't know. It's hard to explain how Q is. He's just an overall on and off the ice. But yeah, he's going to go special places in hockey, and Quinton Byfield's just big name for himself. He's made a good reputation for himself.
A lot of NHL draft eligible players on this call. Brandon, this question's for you. I'm interested, are you the type of player who fixates on draft rankings? And I'm asking this question because I know in the past Tyson said, if you don't pay attention, you're lying. So I'm just curious if that's something you agree with.
Yeah, I think everyone takes a look at it. It's kind of hard not to when they're always posted about on Twitter and stuff like that. So I think you go in there just to take a look where everyone is and what you want to look forward to and try to move up in the rankings as much as possible. But I wouldn't describe myself as a guy that's glued to it. I just take a look here and there whenever an update comes out, I guess.
What about you, Cameron?
Oh, yeah. I think everyone looks at it from time to time. You don't try and fixate on it too much because it gets in your head. But, yeah, you use it as a motivational tool to move up and try and better yourself.
Is that still something you agree with, Tyson, that if you're not looking at the rankings, you're lying?
Yeah, I think it's the truth. I think everyone looks at it. You don't have to stare at it forever, but I think everyone takes a peek at it.
Now, Keean, you've gone through the draft process already. What's the best part about being a St. Louis Blues prospect, and what were some of the biggest takeaways from training camp last summer?
I think the biggest thing about being a St. Louis Blues prospect would probably be, they're a hardworking organization, and I take over as a hardworking player, so it's a good player-team fit for me, I think. And one thing that I took away from being in training camp is, I know a lot of guys say it when they come into the OHL, and then it's just the speed and the small things that all those NHL players do that really matter in the game. Just even some of the small plays that they make around the net or in their defensive zone really matter. So even this year, I know I was just trying to, put it in my head, the small things really do matter. So
I'll ask you a similar question, Blake. Having gone through the draft process, what are some of your biggest pieces of advice for dealing with the nerves and all the perception?
I'll just say, it's like the draft rankings, it's during the season. I'd say it's pressure. If they were saying if you're trying to move up and what you got to do to move up and stuff like that. And it's just hard to not worry about it, but you have to not worry about it and just keep your mind on every game's a new game. And you got to worry about the next game, because if you have one bad game on one weekend, it could ruin your whole weekend. So I just think that, and try and stay consistent that way, because there's a lot of pressure going in your draft year, and they're probably really anxious to know, because they want to know when the draft is. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me.
And I'm going to pose this question to Brandon. With so much kind of uncertainty around when the draft is going to happen, what does that add an added level of pressure to the whole process? Does it kind of calm your nerves a bit more? Does that change anything at all?
I don't think it changes anything at all. I think it's just a little bit more of a waiting period that we have till the draft. At least until then, we get to watch some hockey when it starts to come back up again. And not sure when the draft's going to happen, so maybe our season starts again before then, and you get a little bit of an extra boost to boost up your stock in the rankings or whatever, and try to prove your point that you're an NHL player moving forward. So I don't know. I think it's just more of a waiting period to see what plays out.
What do you think, Tyson?
Yeah, same thing. I think it didn't really change much. I think if we don't start up again, you can't really prove anything. So it doesn't matter if it happens now or later. So I think he said it right.
All right. Well, I'd like to end on a lighthearted note. So I'm going to put you all on the spot a little bit. I'll start with you, Brandon. I'm going to ask, if you had to quarantine with one of your teammates, who would it be and why?
I think I'm going to go with Luke Moncada. We hang out with each other quite a bit during the season, and we get along pretty well. So if I'd have to choose one guy, it'd be him.
All right, Blake?
I'd have to say Macaulay Carson. I was really close with Cars this year, and after he crashed his car halfway through the season, we started sharing my car all the rest of the year. So we became really close, and we hung out pretty much every single day the whole year. So
well, hopefully his car is okay and everything worked out.
No, yeah, everyone is okay.
Cameron?
Probably Jakey Birdie. Like I said, I came really close with him throughout the season, and became good friends when I got traded there. So yeah, Jake.
Keean?
I'd have to say Aiden Pruder. Me and him have gotten along ever since he got traded to Mississauga, and basically every day after practice we'll go grab something to eat, or we'll go do something, or we'll go chill at our billet houses or something like that. But I'd probably have to choose him.
And Tyson, I know I've already asked you this question, so I'm going to make it a little more difficult. If you had to quarantine with a player on this call, who would it be?
Probably Cozy. I think we've already done it once. We've already had a sleepover once, so I think why not do it again?
You cool with that, Co?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap on our Central Division meetup. On behalf of myself and the Ontario Hockey League, I want to thank each of you for taking the time to chat today. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Hope you learned something or just enjoyed some fun hockey discussion. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you on our next call. Bye.